Now, the White House says people occupying campus buildings are taking the wrong approach in protesting the war in Gaza. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby says a small percentage of students shouldn't be able to disrupt study for the rest of the student body. Now, Columbia University says the protests have created a threatening environment for Jewish students. There have been reports of a sharp rise in the number of anti-Semitic incidents since the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel. There have also been Jewish students participating in protests against the war in Gaza. It is a key point. Now, Greg Steinberger is the CEO and president of the University of Wisconsin Hillel Foundation, and he joins me now. Your campus has had its share of protests. Can you describe what's gone on at the University of Wisconsin? And as you've noted, and I'm quoting you here, no student's right to be safe to pursue their education and to be proud of their Jewish and Israeli identity should ever be compromised. So where has the line been drawn at the University of Wisconsin?
Well, I think the first place of the line, thank you for asking, is around how do we engage in civic education? How do students show their right to free protest and to protest in an appropriate manner? So protest is one thing, and it's a great cause, and we support and have participated in all sorts of protests. But the line has changed with the creation of an encampment and with tension and heightened energy that is creating for an unhealthy climate for Jewish students. We're seeing sort of downstream of that bad behavior in classrooms, on whiteboards, in social media locations. Actually, just this morning, somebody reported standing on the corner and somebody coming over and making an anti-Semitic joke to them. So downstream of what's happening in the library mall is sort of a floodgate of sort of despicable behavior.
Yeah, now what we're trying to get to is obviously to understand that those Jewish students feel threatened, and that is genuine concern for their safety, but also they're being traumatized. At the same time, can you help us get to the nuance of this? Because we have heard from Jewish students themselves that have been joining the pro-Palestinian protesters.
Sure. I think, look, the idea of protesting and speaking up to around the terrible events of October 7th, the terror that took place there, and the ongoing war and the innocent victims of the war is a reasonable thing. I think Jewish students and many people want a ceasefire, and they want the hostages released, and I think all of us want a lasting peace. What's happening in the protests is more complicated than that. It often is turning into something where there are chants that are anti-Semitic, that try to split Jews from their various forms of their identity, Jewish identity, their Zionist identity, their Israeli heritage, if they're from Israel. There are chants that call for one solution, an intifada revolution. That's a threatening thing to Jewish students. There are letters supporting claims of genocide, but the conversation isn't one around validity. It's not kind. It's often hostile, and it's clearly full of these, sort of this hidden trope that is targeting Jewish students. We're seeing it just sort of left and right, people coming out to question a person's experience. If they said something was anti-Semitic and they felt hurt or scared or have anxiety around it, someone is questioning that possibly that just couldn't happen.
Yeah,
so it's a mix of these two things.
Yeah, and that fear is obviously genuine and palpable. But I do also want to ask you that, we have heard from others that have said, look, just because I'm Israeli and studying in the United States, perhaps I'm Israeli American studying in the United States, does not mean that I agree with Israeli policy. Have you seen that, where just because you're Jewish, it's as if you support everything the Israeli government does?
Well, I think that just because you're Jewish, you have every right to decide what you believe. I mean, Jews come in all sorts of flavors. They may see themselves as Zionists. They may see themselves as not so participatory in the state, just as Americans decide that they vote in an election and who they vote for and what they speak for. That is to reduce Jewish identity to only one sense of what it means to be Jewish or Israeli is a terrible thing. A healthy democracy, a healthy people have a collection of attitudes. what's happening in these protests is often, not always, is sort of an unleashing of an idea that we are monolithic, and that, of course, because of who we are, that must mean we support what's happening at every step of the way, right? That this is a complicated, difficult war between a nation state and a terrorist organization, and plenty of people are caught in the middle. And what's happening in the protest movement is a reduction to a very simplistic level of conversation. And that is splitting a community, not just a Jewish community, it's splitting the campus community along lines of identity and along a very simplistic sense of what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is supposed to be years of academic exploration and congeniality is really devolving here on so many campuses, which is incredibly difficult to see. Greg Steinberger, thank you so much for your perspective there. Really appreciate it.